So we're back again. So now we're going to launch into a black-eyed pea stew. So we have some oil here that we're going to put in a microwave safe container. Now this oil we're adding specifically for its flavor. This is mustard oil. So it has a really distinctive flavor. So we're going to take that oil and we're going to heat it for 2 minutes in the microwave. So while that's heating, we're going to work on a second dish. That's our chickpeas and greens with Moroccan spices. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take some cilantro and some parsley and 6 cloves of garlic. And we're going to put that all into the food processor and puree it until it becomes a paste. We're also going to add how much salt? 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. And how much olive oil? 5 mils of olive oil. So here we go, over to our food processor. We're going to put in our garlic. We're going to put in our one bunch of parsley chopped. We're going to put in 1 bunch of cilantro chopped. And just a teaspoon of the olive oil. So just a little smidge of the olive oil. The rest of the olive oil we'll use later. And our salt. Now we're just going to run this and turn it into a paste. So, that actually smells delicious. Just give that a quick pulse. And we're ready. So, our cilantro and parsley has been pureed into a paste. In the meantime, we're going to take our remaining oil and add it to a skillet. Now, you could do this in a wok. A wok would be quite convenient, and it's nice because it's easy to stir. But many people don't have a wok at home, so we're going to use a skillet to do it. So I'm going to turn on my heat and add the rest of my olive oil into the skillet. So now I have to go in there. I have 1 onion. I have 1 red pepper and a whole bunch of spices. We have all kinds of spices. We have some toasted cumin, and we have our favorite red bird peppers, 2 bird peppers. We have some thyme, some paprika, some pepper, and some turmeric. So all of our spices. So we're just letting our oil heat up. So while that oil is heating, we can just check our eggplants. No, sorry. We want to check our hot oil. So now we have our hot mustard oil for our black beans. So our hot mustard oil, to that, we're going to add the curry powder and onion. So we have 1 cup of chopped onion. And we have some curry powder. And we're just going to take that and we're going to microwave it for 5 minutes. Going to cook it uncovered for 5 minutes in the microwave. There we go. Now our oil is nice and glistening, shimmery hot. So we're going to add in our onion from the chickpeas and greens. There's our onion added in. And our red pepper. Onion and red pepper and all of our spices. So many spices here. Our turmeric, our hot peppers, our toasted cumin. So of course this is extremely fragrant. So we'll just let that saute. So we're sauteing our onion and our peppers in our skillet. In our microwave, we're cooking our onion and curry. And so, let's see. We can these are sauteing up nicely. We're going to keep cooking them until the onion is transparent. So what I'm going to do is call my co-instructor, Joel, into the camera range. And we can talk about all of our legume dishes. So we have such a variety of legumes here today. Our black-eyed peas, they're of course from the south.
Where I'm from.
That's right. But what many people don't know is that if you plant black-eyed peas and let them grow, they grow actually into yard-long beans.
Oh, which are delicious.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's another way to serve those black-eyed peas. Now, the thing I like about the black-eyed pea dish is that it's a microwave dish.
Absolutely, which
Right.
a lot of people don't think you can do
From scratch.
From scratch, right?
Yeah.
It's a great dorm room dish, essentially.
Yeah. And I'm just going to stop this. It's halfway along. And give it a stir. I have another spoon here.
Oh, that smells so nice.
It does. The combination of the mustard oil and the curry and the onions are about halfway to transparent.
Yeah, you can really see them get clear.
You can see the
Yeah.
yellow of the curry combined with the yellow of the mustard oil. So we'll distribute that over the bottom of the pan and put it in for the rest of the 5 minutes.
And these peppers are sauteing nicely with the onions. They're not as clear as the ones in the microwave just yet, but they will get there.
So what we're going to do is I bought a bunch of kale, 1 bunch, and stripped that off the hard spines and then just chopped it nice and coarsely. So we have some nice coarsely chopped kale here. Now you could use kale, but you could also use any greens.
Yeah.
You could use Swiss chard, you could use spinach.
Escarole would be really good in this.
Oh, escarole.
Escarole, right.
So we're going to take the kale and add in the kale and the paste that we created and some chickpeas.
So this is another bean that
It is.
that we're having. And this just smells great. So one thing you want to know when you're dealing with a food processor like this, to always stick your finger up underneath and hold the blade. because sometimes if you don't do that and you tip it out, well, then the blade will just fall out into your food. So you can, there's a little sort of cubby hole in there for you to stick your finger in, and then it's not going to come out. So do you want this in here?
Please, yes.
The other thing you can do is just remove the blade.
Yeah, it depends on how full your processor is. If your processor is quite full, you're better to do as Joel suggested and stick your finger up and hold that blade in. If your processor's only a little bit full, then you can take the blade out and it makes scraping much easier.
And so what's going to happen now is the heat is going to hit this herb mixture, and it's really going to start smelling very, very fragrant. Oh, it looks so nice.
It does. It's Christmassy, all the red and green together. So we're going to stir fry our kale as well so that it will just wilt. And to add a bit of steam, we'll add in our chickpeas. Now we use canned chickpeas, and so we rinse them. So as students of 340 will know, when you rinse canned beans, you reduce the sodium content by 41%.
41%.
41%. Who knew? As I said to Joel earlier, someone got a PhD for researching that. So we're going to add in our chickpeas.
Well, and we're all happy for that. 4 years of someone's life.
So we're just going to cook this for about 1 minute.
The herbs just smell fresh and really, really vibrant. And I think it really is adding a lot to this dish as far as flavor goes. I mean, it's just amazing.
So the other things we're going to add into this dish, just to finish it off, is 2 things. We're going to add 1 cup of diced tomatoes, and then we're going to add a preserved lemon. Now I've julienned that preserved lemon. Preserved lemons are very, very easy to make. I took a lemon, I cut it in 4 almost through the end so that it still holds together. And then I took some pickling salt and packed it into that lemon. And I did that with a couple of lemons and just packed them in this 500 ml canning jar. I threw in some spices. I put in a cinnamon stick and a bay leaf and some cloves. And after I let that sit for 2 days at room temperature, and what you end up with is this preserved lemon. So when we use a preserved lemon, we just scrape out the lemon pulp and use the lemon peel. So this is a really lovely thing to do when lemons are in season. So you can go out and you can buy a bunch of organic lemons or buy regular lemons and wash them really thoroughly. Cut them in quarters, not quite all the way through the skin. Pack them full of salt. Pack them into a jar, a bigger jar if you have more lemons. It's about 4 or 5 lemons in a liter jar. And push them down. A lot of the juice will come out and you can top it up with commercial lemon juice. And that combination of acid and salt preserves them beautifully. And of course, the spices that you've added in add a lot of flavor.
Very, very fragrant. And it's soft.
Yeah.
They really break down. It's a nice softness. And a little goes a long way in cooking. But this has a nice combination, like a nice vibrant combination with the earthiness of the kale. So it's going to be, do you want me to add it in?
Yes, please. And we'll add that 1 cup of diced tomatoes. And our dish is pretty much finished.
Wow.
I'll just get a dish to put it in.
And so you don't need to cook this much more. At this point, I mean, the chickpeas come cooked from the can. The tomatoes are virtually cooked. It's really just sort of heating things through and just making sure that everything is just sort of universally heated. So I think this is done.
We can let that simmer a moment and go back. Oh, look at that.
Ooh, that is nice.
You can see the curry and the onions have all melded together with that mustard oil. So now we're just going to add in everything else. So we've got our black-eyed peas. We're going to add those in. We're going to add in our our tomatoes. We have 1.5 cups of diced tomatoes. We're going to add in some ginger. So we have 1 tablespoon ginger. And we have, again, our popular bird chilies. We have 2 chilies that I de-seeded and chopped finely. So when I'm de-seeding chilies, I'm quite cautious, and it's an excellent reminder in our times of contagion to wash your hands thoroughly, because you don't want that chili getting up under your fingernail. So now we're just going to give this another stir. And we're going to put it into the microwave again for 6 minutes. And away we go. Now we have this beautiful chickpeas and greens with Moroccan spice. This one thing I like about these skillets is I think they actually make beautiful serving dishes. So you could just serve this, bring this to the table right in the skillet, like you would for, say, a paella or something like that. But you can also put it into a lovely serving dish. There we go. Now you could garnish that. I have the rest of the cilantro, so I can garnish it with the rest of the cilantro. That gives a beautiful green on top. The lemon's already in there. You could take a fresh lemon and put some lemon slices on as garnish. And we have chickpeas and greens with Moroccan spices. So yet another dish.